Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the live webinar today. And thank you, everyone, for joining earlier. We will wait for the rest to join in first. And meanwhile, please do check out the QR code that I have over here to look at what are the upcoming webinar we have in July, as well as some of the past recording that you have missed. Right, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining on time and thanks for being early. So my name is Jun Liang, and today I'll be sharing with you about a topic on listing preparation. And then before I start, I just want to check once again for all the audience who are here, whether you can hear me and whether you can see my slides. All right, let me know in the Q&A by typing 1 or typing yes if you can hear or see my slides. Okay, let me type into the chat as well in case some of you can't see. Thank you. Thanks for all of you who responded to me on the Q&A. All right, good afternoon once again. Time now is 2:01 in my clock now. I'm going to start now. All right, thank you everybody for joining me here on time for today's live webinar session. My name is Jun Liang and I'm from the Amazon Seller Education team. I'm a senior trainer here with the Amazon Global Selling. And then, so at any point of time, if you can't hear me, please do use the raise your hand or let me know in the Q&A if the connection breaks or you need me to slow down or anything. All right. Okay. All right, so moving on. Now, before we begin, all right, I just want to share with everyone that the recording, including the one that you are listening in now, will be recorded and then it will also be uploaded to our official YouTube playlist at by the end of the week, hopefully. And then also the link is also shared at the side if you can see the welcome message. So there's 2 links over there. One is where you can find where to sign up for more. The other one is where you can find the past recording. So don't worry, on the follow-up emails, we will also share the link with you so that you know where to view the past recording if you miss out anything. All right, next, do put in your Q&A box as I mentioned earlier on. And then also, if you're watching this recording, maybe few months down the road, please make sure that always ensure that you refer to Seller University Online and Seller Central Help for latest information, especially things like policy or restriction, etc. You might want to double check on your end on the latest information if you were to watch this recording a couple of months down the road. Alternatively, you can try to find a newer recording so that you'll be more relevant. All right, these are just some important notices. You might want to take a quick read on this. Okay, so if you recall, at the start of the session during the registration, I may have asked you some questions. So let's just have a quick look on this. So the question is, how long have you been selling on Amazon? All right, so I can see that most of our attendees today are actually been selling for more than 12 months or they have not have an account yet. So the bulk of our attendees today are the sellers in this category. So it'll be good, for those who are already selling for more than 12 months to know what other things on listing that you can optimize. And also for those who are interested on Amazon but do not have a Seller Central account yet, you can have a look and feel to understand, how does a listing or what kind of preparation you need to get prepared before you do your listing on Amazon.com. So today, what we'll be covering is the preliminary preparation for creating a listing. What are the materials that you need to create your listing, and how do you ensure that your listing is compliant, ensure that you have a sellable listing. And last but not least, we'll end with some FAQ and Q&As. All right, first one is, what is product compliance, right? There's a lot of words here. We just need to, make sure that you understand those in red. All right, so it means that buyers should be able to find a variety of product that is safe, reliable, and compliant offered on Amazon's marketplace, which is Amazon.com. So all these products should include the requirement for product safety. They are legally to be sold in the destination country. They are safe to transport and under all these different compliant trade regulations, including production, import, export, etc. So there is sometimes later I will show you some of these restricted product that you will need to pass some either security review or you need some security cert or reports approval before you can list these products. All right, so these are some of the list of products that require review for all marketplace and especially the US. All right, so you can briefly read through. I will also share the link over at the video description when I upload the video recording as well. So you can see the different product categories here. So to get those restricted listing or restricted product to be able to sold in the US, you need to go through all these common market regulatory entity over here. All right, so these are the common authority in US that can actually certify your product to give you the right certifications that you will have to upload it when you're creating or when you're selling product that requires approval. So this is the product identifier preparation. So as you know, all the product that you want to list, you will require a product ID, most of it. All right, this is what we call the GTIN. So it's actually a universal or code that's being used to identify your product for your listing. All right. So this code actually helps to ensure the accuracy of the product page by matching your product listed by the seller that is already in Amazon catalog. So these are the different codes that is used. It's like UPC, there's ISBN for books, there's a EAN and JAN. All right, so in short, you will have to obtain this ID from GS1. So GS1 is actually an entity, a company that regulates the whole global ID that is unique. So that if you go over there and you obtain the GS1 ID, you'll be able to use it for your products. And then Amazon will actually verify the authenticity of your product ID against the GS1 database. All right. So if you have any ID that does not match the product information or provided by the GS1, it will be not counted as not a valid ID and your listing will be removed. So I know you must be thinking, what if I don't have a product ID? So yes, it's possible. So sometimes your product may not have a product ID. So you might need to request what we call a GTIN exemption. All right. Now, first of all, you need to check that whether or not it is an existing product. All right. Sometimes you may think that okay, yours is a product that you have not sold before. You think it's a new product, but actually it might already exist. But we'll go through some of these cases here to let you know on what situation that you can apply for GTIN exemption. So these are the four situations, right? Now, first of all, to get a GTIN exemption, that is when you want to sell product whereby for which the brand, manufacturer, or publisher does not provide a GTIN, right? Now, for example, you are doing your own private label product or handmade product. Now, this product usually do not have a ID, all right? Or you want to sell product whereby you yourself are the manufacturer, the brand, or the publisher, and then you do not have any barcodes on your product. Now, again, similarly, it is a private product or handmade product, all right? So the third scenario is you want to sell product parts that do not have a GTIN. Some example that we have are like automotive parts or even mobile accessories. So those products you may not have a GTIN on that. Or you want to sell a bundle of pack of more than one product. Example is you have a pack containing a leather belt, a wallet, or a pack of two shirts. Okay, this kind of bundle, then you will not have require a GTIN. So how do you apply for a GTIN exemption? So for those of you who maybe already selling here for about more than 12 months, like, I shared earlier on, the process might be a little different already from last time round. All right, so this time round, you have to go through over here. The instruction is that you go to your menu, under catalog, and add a product. And there's options that says, I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon. All right. And then you'll be brought to this page. You need to select which category that you are selling, or you can also search for it. You can just type the item that you're selling, and then you'll give you some of the recommendation based on your search terms here, and then you can choose the one that is most relevant to what you are going to sell. All right, once you selected that, you'll be brought to this page. All right, over here, you can see if you have a brand name, you need to put in the brand name. All right. Now, if not, you have to select this product does not have a brand name. And then over here, there's a checkbox. If you check here, I don't have a product ID, and then the option will appear here for you to click apply now to go to the page to request for this GTIN exemption. Now on the so-called the details that you need to submit, there'll be a list of items. All right, you have to fill up the form, submit the required info, etc. There's a lot more field below, but I won't be sharing over here. But you can look through when you click on apply, just provide the info that is required and click on submit. All right. Then it's the last step, and then you will get a response whether or not the exemption is approved or not. So over here, the next thing I want to share with you is this, what we call the brand name policy. So this policy is Amazon brand name policy. It kind of explains how you can use the brand attribute on your ASIN. All right. So there are some brand attributes that is require you may need approval from Amazon before you can list it. So if you are not the brand owner and you're listing a non-branded product, you can actually use generic in the brand attribute fields. All right. So I'm going to show you on where does it means here. So over here, when you select this product does not have a brand name or something right here, will actually populate generic for you usually. All right. So what is a brand? So you should have known by now, a brand is a name that represents a product or set of product. All right, so product from the same brand will share a common name, logo, or other identifying mark that appear on the product or its packaging. So when you have a non-branded product, it means that the product does not belongs to any brand. All right, so in this case, when you're doing a listing, you must use the value generic in the brand attribute. So here's a kind of a workflow on to help you to think whether or not you need to use the correct product attribute when listing a product. Right, so when you are trying to list your product, you must think of whether your product itself, is it a clearly branded product, right? Meaning that you can see the brand name itself on the product, all right? If it's a yes, all right, then you will continue to do your listing, all right? If there's no error, meaning that you can actually list the item. Now, if there's some error after you put in the details, I will share with you what are some of the errors code means. And then sometimes you might need to contact the seller support for help. All right, so if you are listing a product that is clearly a generic product that is not branded, all right, then you can just enter generic at the brand attribute value. All right, so you can see some of the items that is considered generic, just for examples. All right. All right, so these are the common error code when you are listing some product that has a brand associated. Right, so if you see an error such as 5661, it may mean that the brand field are not complying with the brand name policy. All right. Now, if you see 5664, You might be listing a generic product, but you're not using generic as the brand name, which again is not compliant with the brand name policy. Another code is 5665. All right, it means that the brand needs approval. So Amazon must approve the brand before you can use this brand name in your product listing. However, if you believe that all of this code doesn't apply to you and you are already complying with the Amazon brand name policy, you should use the um, contact option to contact selling partner support, the SPS, and provide the error code, and then they can investigate back end for you. So here's what you need to do if in the event that you need to contact the seller support, provide the things, most importantly, the brand that you are using when you're creating a listing, all right, and also take a photos, take an image. Let's say if the brand is something that you own or something that you legally authorized to sell it, then you should take a product images, etc. All right, and then to take note that it has to be shown as something that is permanently affixed. You cannot show image like a sticker that is stick on it, etc. Those that can be easily removed, or those won't be approved. All right. And then the packaging, the product, etc., it must exactly match the brand name used when you're creating the listing. Okay. So if you are using inventory file template, let's say you are using bulk creation of the listing, etc., please do also provide the batch ID for them so that they can also investigate is there any issue with the uploads. Yeah. So here's what I meant by permanently affixed. You cannot use a sticker to paste it on and say that it's a branded item. Okay, so far so good, everyone. Now I'm going to move on to the second part of it. What are some of the key attributes that you need to have before you create your listing? So there are 8 critical elements, but not all will be applicable. Some will be open for the brand registered seller. Right, these are the 8 key elements that's important. So over here you can see the product title or product name up there, and then you can see the brand name usually on the second line, right? And then the product images, it could be appear like this, or sometimes it could appear up and down depending on your browser, etc. And then there are these bullet points as well. So if you scroll down a little bit more, you can see the product description that goes into more details about your product. So this is the A plus or premium A plus content. Now, if you are a registered brand owner, which is you are registered in the Amazon brand registry, you'll be able to unlock this feature, this option in Seller Central, and then you can create A plus content. Right. The next two things are the search terms and also the category nodes. So these are usually used as the filters. All right. So you're probably aware of these when you're shopping around Amazon.com. It's just that you didn't actually know that these are the 8 major components for a complete listing. So over here, there will be a little bit more detail, but you can just read through the one that is underlying for easy to understand. So browse node is actually to make your product easier for the buyer to find your product. So usually you end up as like a filter that you see in the previous slides. So with the right browse node, your customer can further narrow down their search by selecting the product category as they browse through. So for the search term, they are the search terms that describe they are the words that describe your product. Right, it's important to use accurate and meaningful search term. So you increase the chance of the product being found in the search, increase the visibility of your product. And also the image, there will always be a main image required when you are creating a listing. And the main image will be displayed in the shopping result and the browser pages as well. So ensure that your quality of the main image is really very good, because it will significantly impact your click-through rate. And a high quality image will definitely have a better conversion impact on your sales and your product search ranking. Right. So these are the product title. Make it intuitive, telling shopper what the product is. So this, you can actually go and search for some of the products that you're usually buying on Amazon.com, and get to learn how these other seller actually name their product. So you want to create a very well-formed product title that can help your buyer make informed purchasing decisions. Now the fifth point is on the bullets point that you see. Right. Our data does show that well-written bullet points help improve sales. So there are some tips over here. Right. So over here, you can use concise and informative bullet to help your customer learn about the unique characteristic of your product. And description part is when after the listing is shown, when your shopper actually scroll down a little bit more, they can see more regarding the product. So it should supplement your bullet point, and it should be something that is very more specific and detailed. Ideally, this is the part where you will have to describe and make your consumer, your shopper, imagine what it would be like to own or use your product. Right, there are some quick tips here as well. So A plus content and premium A plus content, this is for brand registered seller. All right, so this option allows you to put in a combination of picture and text together, or instead of the normal listing that you see with only the descriptions and the picture separately. So using this, right, will allow you to have an image and your text combined together, make it more attractive for your shoppers. Right, lastly is a brand name. All right, if you have a brand name, means you're a brand registered seller, do include the brand of the product. It will enhance your consumer trust and loyalty and increase conversion and repurchase. So what this all means, so there's something we call the listing completeness score. This is something you can use yourself to determine whether or not your listing is under which completeness grade. All right, so there are some scoring attributes. You can use it on your own listing, or to assess, optimize your current listing. Now we recommend seller to set like 80 points as your benchmark. All right, so over here you can see the completeness grade over here. All right, if you reach a score of 80 to 100, meaning that you would have utilized most of the critical elements that I mentioned earlier on. So there's a reason for that, I will share it. So this is just some completeness score that's different for different category. There's too much to look through. Generally, we'll just advise or recommend the seller, if they can just set a goal of 80 points as a benchmark, that will be good enough. All right, so this is to show what is the importance of listing completeness that you can see over here. All right. So to continuously improve all the different elements that I've shared earlier on, the 8 elements here, will help your product to go through this cycle to continue to gain organic traffic, attract internal and external traffic to go to your product listing page, and ultimately to convert, meaning that your shopper actually buys something from your listing. So this is what we meant by the importance of listing completeness. So based on the internal data that we have, we see that the listing with A grade listing usually have a much better order volume compared to the listing which is from B to E, right? Meaning that they are like 80 points and below. So always try to aim for 80 points, right, to ensure that you have a good quality A grade listing. These are just some policy updates. As of December 2022, some of these categories will require you to provide this size name, description, etc. All right. I think previously it was more like a optional, but going forward, right, this one is something that is compulsory. You need to provide all this information when you're creating a listing that's related to specific product categories. Yep. But don't worry on this. Usually when you create your listing, the listing page itself will prompt you what is the issue. When you try to save and you realize you can't save, they will tell you like how many attributes that you need to fill in correctly before you can save. So in a way, you can go ahead and create a listing if you have the account to test it. Just that by knowing what you need to prepare beforehand, it will save you a lot of the time to go around hunting for the information you need. Ensure listing is compliant and sellable. So what does it mean? So you want to avoid getting your listing suppressed. So when your listing is suppressed, when you create a listing, right, when you go back to look at your inventory, you may see there's a column on the status that says suppressed. So if your listing is suppressed, meaning that it won't appear anywhere in the search result. So it could be due to some of the quality issues. It could be maybe your listing is incomplete, or there are certain maybe image that is not compliant, etc. So in short, it just means that there isn't enough, or there isn't sufficient quality in that listing for Amazon to show your listing. So you will want to go and fix it as soon as possible to prevent your listing from getting suppressed. So these are just some possible scenario, right? So if your main image is missing, you will be suppressed, right? So if your brand attribute, product description attribute, or bullet points missing, your listing may be suppressed as well. And then sometimes you have a very long title, more than 200 character, it will be suppressed as well, right? So these are also some of the potential cases where your listing may be suppressed if you're listing in the different categories, like child listing in shoes without certain information, it will be suppressed too. And again, especially for the images, right? So sometimes you may see that when you create a listing, you appear that you can upload the image, but after that, once the image gets processed backend, it might be suppressed due to some of the reasons here, right? That your image may not pass the check of the Amazon systems, and then your listing may get suppressed, right? These are all the issues that potentially happen. Right, this is also a lot of these are probably regarding certain parts that's not supposed to show, or your product is too small, it's not occupying at least 85% of the image area, etc. Or this is only for A plus content. So if you're a brand owner, A plus content is only available to professional seller who have been approved as brand owner through the Amazon brand registry. Then you can actually use the A plus content. So I won't go through the exact details. There's a lot of words, and sometimes it's hard to go through one slide. So the link as well I will share. You can go through and see if that applies for you. But I will show a few image in the next few slides to let you understand what kind of image is not approved and what kind of image you should actually use. Okay, you can see these are on the top, they are the example of non-compliant image. So using these images usually get suppressed pretty soon. So it's easily detected. All right, so your image don't have a white background, pure white background, you can see most of the listings that in Amazon.com actually have a very clean and clear white background with the product that you want to sell clearly shown. All right, you have like extensive, shadow appearing beyond the side of the product. All right. All right, these are some more example of non-compliant image. Right, you can see over here, adding multiple different color variant directly on the image is not compliant. Okay. And then over here, this is also not compliant. You have multiple angles of the same item in the same image, right? It creates confusion for the shoppers. It's not allowed as well, right? And then the next one is you are selling a different size, right? But you're not sold as a set, and you don't have the set of three as part of the title. Right, so in a way, the whole idea is not to mislead shopper into thinking that, oh, they are buying three of it if you're showing three in a single product image, unless you are really selling as a set and it's a set of three, then you can show multiple on the same image. Right, right. Similarly, for other things that you're showing as a pack, make sure that you are really showing the number of the pack that you're selling and not a different number. Right. These are also some example of non-compliant image, right? So do note that the models, right, if you're using any models, it can only be used for apparel. Apparel will be things like t-shirt, etc. Right, these are also showing you what are the non-compliant image on top and what is the compliant one below, right? So if your item has a tag, uh, do also make sure that it is not included like this. And over here, do not show any extra product or accessories, something like this bag. You put in a lot of the other non related to the item that you're selling, it may not get approved as well. All right. And this model over here, you might be selling a jacket, but there's too many items here. It's unclear which is for sale. Is it the boots, or is it the pants, or is it the jacket? All right, for images like this, crop halfway, like this is also considered not compliant, right? Okay, I think that's all for the images part. I hope that gives you a brief idea on what is constituted as compliant and non-compliant. Well, these are the basic requirements for creating your title. You can just go through the red one will do. Do not use all caps. Spell out the unit, and don't use any special characters or emojis. And then do not use promotional messages like, okay, free shipping, discount, last day sale, that kind of things. Hot item, bestseller, these kind of words are also not recommended, meaning that your listing will be suppressed. Right. So for bullet point as well, can read through the red one, which is the one I think is important. Right. Again, do not include any promotional information like clearance sale or limited time offer or any subjective things such as, best seller of the year, great value, etc. on your listing. All right, these are just some of the requirements for your product descriptions. Right. And make sure you don't include any of these things in your description. Is not required. You're not supposed to include anything like seller name or your email address or pointing them to other website, etc. All right, these are about the product description. It's not about the company or other information that is not relevant to the listing. So lastly, there's a part about the search term. Right, these are the things or the words that you believe that your shopper will be using it to search for your items. Right. So over here as well, these are the key things you should take note of. You do not have to use any repetitions and do not, use any statements such as new or on sale now. Similarly to the previous few key points that I shared, do not use any claims such as good quality or last day sales, etc. So all these things, if it's not done correctly, there will be a chance that the listing may be suppressed after you created in the event that such things have been detected in your listing. All right. So that's almost the end. I will go on to share some other information whereby if you want to learn more in more detail, you can go to Seller University in Seller Central. If you have access to Seller Central, you can go on and check out. There is a lot of info that will also help you keep track of your progress. If you want to learn more, or if you're somebody who enjoys reading, or you can go ahead and look at what are the topics available. So you can find it on the Learn in Seller Central under Seller University. All right. So as you know, Prime Day is coming on the 11th of July, US timing. So there are some useful things. So today we are talking about listing, right? You can check out this listing FAQ right over here. There are some tips for you that can give you some information on how you can do your listing better, or what are some of the tips and tricks regarding Prime Day if you were to participate in Prime Day this coming July. I will also share all this link on the video description, so don't worry if you miss out this part. So these are all the references that I use that I'll be sharing. All right. So I will walk you through some of these frequently questions that I've seen. All right. So first one is the title the same thing as product name? So yeah, sometimes you see maybe online referencing to the title, to the product name, they are actually referencing to the same thing. So you are thinking, what if your brand has a so-called a prohibited character, like a question mark, copyright, trademark, this kind of sign? What do you do, right? So you ensure that your brand name is entered in the brand name field. If it really does contain those characters, right, it will be exempt from the title requirements, right? So the aim is to keep title free from this kind of special character, all right? But sometimes it may be allowed to appear, so that really depends. So you can just go ahead and list it first. If there is any issues, you can actually raise a case to show that, okay, your brand does require these special characters. All right. So there's another question of, does Amazon automatically put a brand name at the start of my title, or do I need to do that myself? All right, so usually we'll recommend you begin a title with the product brand name. All right, so in addition to ensuring the brand name field is populated, right, then there are some system in place to ensure that you have a brand name at the beginning of the title if it's missing. So this is something that you might realize if you go shopping on Amazon.com. You might see that a lot of these branded product, the title is actually starting with the brand name and then followed by what is the product. So if your product doesn't have a brand name, what to do? All right. So again, I mentioned earlier on, if your product doesn't have a brand name, you can use generic in the title, or you don't need to state it as well if it's only generic. So to know whether your listing has been suppressed, you go to manage inventory in your Seller Central, and then you can see an overview the moment you click on manage inventory on which are the listing that is being suppressed. It will be very obvious when you show up as suppressed. The next question is, if another seller title violates the title requirement and cause a product that I'm also selling to become unsearchable, so what happened? So this is more for if you are selling a product that is existing in Amazon catalog, because you know how Amazon listing work is that for the same product there can only be one ASIN. So if you're selling the same product, you will share the same product listing as the rest of the seller who are selling the same product with the same ASIN. All right. So sometimes, you know, if the title requirement um, could be against certain requirements, kind of get violated, etc., you might need to file a case with the seller support to request for title correction if the other seller has not corrected it. Yeah, you can also correct it yourself. You will be subject to approval. So all the changes that you made to certain listings will go through the check by Amazon to make sure that it is per the guidelines and policy before it gets approved. And the next question is, do brand registered products have the same title requirements? So yes, regardless whether you are brand registered or you are not a brand owner, you will have to go through the same requirements for listing. And also are the requirements same for seller who are using FBA and seller who are fulfilling their own using MFN? So yes, again, the requirements are the same regardless if you are shipping by using FBA or you're using MFN to ship yourself. The requirements for listing is the same across. The next one is, are the model numbers recommended? So this one will have to refer you to the category guide, right? Some of the guide will say that will give a more detailed recommendation, but in short, right, the model number should appear for some categories, but not all. All right, the next question that I always saw is, what if my title is missing product identifying information such as color, material, or size? So the title as a recommendation must contain key product identifying information for customer to understand the item. All right, if it's missing, it may be suppressed. However, to avoid the search suppression, we recommend you to create title with sufficient information to represent the product. All right, this kind of works both ways. If you have insufficient information, right, it also means that your product might not be easily searched by shopper who are looking for your product. All right, so put in enough information so that it will be easier for your customer to search for your items as well. What are the requirements to sell gated or restricted product? So the requirements can be a lot. Really, it's hard to cover. So I would say that you do your due diligence first, depending on the product you want to list it. Alternatively, you can just list it first, and then you go to the manage your compliance dashboard under account health in Seller Central. That's one of the way as well. So last but not least, do I have to enroll my trademark while listing? So you must be thinking that, oh, it seems like you need to have a brand or etc. when you're doing your listing. So not really. It is not a must to enroll in brand registry, but it's highly recommended if you have a local trademark to register under the Amazon brand registry so that you can have the brand protection in case you want to file any infringements. For example, other competitor or seller could be selling a product that you are the brand owner, then you can file an infringement on that case. So yep, if you have a trademark, you should actually go and register under the Amazon brand registry. All right. So however, if you do not have, you need to know that trademark registration takes time. It takes quite a while, all right? And the approval time is different in different countries. So please prepare in advance if you plan to go on the route to do what do you call trademark items. And again, this is important because if you were to create a listing without a trademark, you put in as without a brand name, you put in as generic. Let's say your product has been selling well, for example, and then finally you have a trademark. You want to put your brand name to the listing, you won't be able to do that. You will not be able to edit that listing to put in the brand name anymore. So this is something you want to take into consideration if you think that you're gonna have something that want to have your brand on them, then you might think in the longer term, should you want to list it first or should you want to have your trademark first? All right, let me go through the Q&A right now on some of these questions that I see from anyone. So meanwhile, question is, would you have recommendation for service provider for EBC? So I believe is to create the what do you call it? The listing, if I'm not wrong, right, for the A plus content. So I would not have any recommendation, but you can check out on the Seller Central. There is this portal which has a lot of these service provider over there. It's called the SPN Service Provider Network on Seller Central. You can check it out. You can select what are the services that you are looking for, and then you can contact the provider directly over there. So I'll be still around here for a few minutes, and then you can see these are some of the upcoming sessions that we have in July. You can check out. And then there are two special lunchtime session that we have. We have listened to your feedback that you want different timings, so we incorporated some lunchtime timing. Hopefully more people can join the session. And also if you have other suggestions, you can share with us after the webinar close. There is a form that you can put in longer feedback. Then you can let us know what is a good timing for you, and whether is weekend better or is evening better or is a morning session better for you, etc. So I have another question regarding PPC. Do you mean the ads? PPC is a pay-per-click. I believe you are referring to the ads. So for Amazon ads, right, since today is more about listing, I can tell you that actually in July we have two webinars on ads that is available that you can sign up on the first QR code here. Right. So there is our ad specialist from the Singapore Amazon ads team. So usually they will have about a one-on-one session regarding on how can you quickly launch your ads, another more advanced for seller who are already very much into ads that they can help them to optimize. So I would strongly encourage you to attend the session on ads. Therefore, over there they will have a lot more to share because I think it's hard to cover even in Q&A regarding ads. Yep. So besides that, right, if you are in our seller community, sometimes you will see some invites. All right, we do have online. I mean, we do have physical event as well. So for those of you who prefer to go, into either certain venues, the Amazon booth, or go to Amazon office to mingle with other sellers, to share and to listen to what other top sellers are doing. Please ensure that you are looking at the seller community or check your emails, because sometimes the invite are sent through emails, and then do sign up promptly because the seats are usually limited for in-person session. So yep, do check it out. All right, if there are no other questions, we will end the live webinar today. Thank you everyone for your time and participation today. Do take note that the recording will be shared, and then to check it out your email as well to look at the recording. And I will see you at the next session that we have coming up on the 5th of July, Wednesday. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye bye.